Hi, Thalheimer here, and today I'm going to be reviewing my 2018 Fender American Original 60s Telecaster. Now, this is the second video I've done on this. I had another 60s Telecaster just like this, but because of quality control issues that the guitar had coming out of the factory, and of which I could not fix or have fixed without spending lots of money, I returned that guitar and decided that I should take down the video because those issues that I found on the guitar I did not address in the video, and felt that it really wouldn't be a fair and accurate review without that information. There were simple things like there was a space between here and not a big deal until you try to move that neck, and the neck doesn't go anywhere, and the E string kept going off the top of the fretboard. The nut was cut sloppy. Just overall, there were little things that started adding up, and I felt that I really needed to return the guitar. I'm glad I did, because I ordered this one through Sweetwater, and my two requirements were that one, it was as light as they could find, and this one weighs 7 pounds. And my other requirement was that they had the neck plecked, which basically boils down to them scanning the neck, making sure there are no issues with the neck, and then they did their normal checkpoints and setup and everything, and it showed up on my door. And I gotta say, I really felt as if I turned in one guitar saying, hey, here's all the things wrong with this guitar. This is what I don't like about this guitar. And then Sweetwater gave me this, and all those issues have been addressed, and that was awesome. So this has kind of become my go-to guitar. I love playing this thing. But to kind of go over the guitar a little bit, its history. Now, over the years, Fender has always kind of made a vintage correct or vintage close guitar and series of guitars, Telecasters and Stratocasters. And over the years, they got more and more accurate to the point where they were like, just like they were coming off the factory in 1965 or 1957. They were making them so accurate to the nth degree. They got a little overboard. So someone at Fender decided, hey, let's back off a bit. We're going to go with decade specific or decade general, and have a 60s Telecaster, a 50s Telecaster, a 50s Stratocaster, and put the qualities that go into that decade into that particular guitar. Okay, so for the 60s, kind of starting with the headstock and working our way down to the body, the first thing we'll notice is that it has a early 60s and 50s Fender logo, and it says Custom Telecaster right there. For any Telecaster with the white binding during the 50s and 60s, it would say Custom Telecaster instead of just Telecaster. And this is a water slide logo, so if you're not careful, you can scrape it off. It's right above the clear coat. Uses the Kluson tuning keys, which are vintage for Fender and period correct. As a bone nut, it has a round lamb rosewood fingerboard or fretboard, which was common for the 60s era Fender guitars. It has pearl or mother of pearl, pearloid. These are actual mother of pearl inlay. It's a real shell, it looks like. It doesn't look like plastic or anything. Anyway, so that's common for the 60s era Telecasters and Stratocasters. And they also did it up here, and it's a nice touch. I really feel like it adds class to the guitar. It looks nice. The neck is a 9.5-inch radius, opposed to the traditional 7.25-inch radius. This makes the guitar a little more playable for some people. I never really noticed the difference on this, but for some players, they feel that it's a real difference. It feels very comfortable. For frets, their Fender has the vintage tall frets they're using on all their, or most of their guitars now. And you kind of get the look and feel of a vintage fret, but you get the height of a much more modern fret, and allows you to kind of dig into the pick, or excuse me, dig into the string a bit better like this. I'm a pretty heavy-handed player, so I like to really be able to get underneath that string and pull up and things like that. The neck itself, the neck shape, is a mid-60s C shape, a little chunkier than the modern C-shaped neck or the vintage kind of V-shaped neck. The first one of these guitars I had a really chunky neck, and it felt very uncomfortable to play. This is a lot better. It's still a little chunky, but it feels very comfortable to play. It's a comfortable playing guitar. The lacquer is nitrocellulose lacquer opposed to polyurethane or polyester. So when you're playing this, anyone who's not familiar with this, and it's not something I'm used to, the neck feels kind of sticky or tacky to the touch, especially when the guitar is brand new. Over time, and I'm even starting to notice that it's starting to get a little stiffer. It doesn't feel as tacky as it when I first got it, but it will feel tacky and sticky when you start playing it. You'll have to kind of rub it down and take some of that stickiness away. As far as the truss rod adjustment, that's on the heel end here, just like it was way back in the day before the late 80s when it went to this end of the guitar. The body is an alder body. It's probably 2 pieces, most likely not 1. That's kind of rare, especially for a solid color. It's lacquered in Lake Placid blue. You can get this in 3-color sunburst, Fiesta red, which is kind of a lighter, I always consider like an orangish red color, a little less red than, say, Torino red. I'm a really big fan of Lake Placid blue. It's absolutely gorgeous color, and I don't think the camera can give it justice. Comes in this double bound binding, which is really one of my favorite qualities on a Telecaster. It's quite popular. The pickups are 1964 voiced Telecaster pickups. Now, and on the whole, pickups are all going to sound different depending on what guitar is made and what day and right. But on the whole, the 60s pickups they seem to be a little hotter, maybe a little more mid-range. They sound a little richer to me, and I really like that. I prefer that over the 50s style pickups. The bridge is your typical stamped steel, and of course the stainless steel saddles. I might change these out for brass. I kind of prefer the sound of brass over stainless steel. It's got a three-position selector switch, volume, and tone. Now, the first thing I noticed about this guitar is how useful, as far as like playing the guitar, one of the first things I noticed about this guitar is how useful the volume and tone controls are. Let me turn this up. A lot of taper there. Also, you're not losing any high end, so it makes me wonder if there is a treble bleed circuit in there under the pickguard. I haven't looked yet. Also, the tone knob. Tone knobs have a tendency to be really abrupt. Either they're very bright, they go from very bright to super dark in no time flat. But with this, that's a really nice taper. I can get some really varying tones out of this guitar that I might not be able to get on some other guitar. In fact, I find Telecasters to be extremely versatile, useful instruments that I can play blues and rock and metal and jazz. I've heard so many different people trying so many different types of music on Telecasters. These pickups and this tone knob really kind of make that possible. I'll give you an example. I'm going to darken this up a little bit. I can still really get some, I'm almost on, I was like on 8 or 9, and I was still getting some really useful tones. It wasn't too dark. It was very gradual. It's nice. I like the tone knob. Whoever designed the tone knobs for this guitar, good job. Some other things about the guitar. The neck plate will be blank and we'll have this V, and it looks like V18 and then a bunch of digits, so I'm guessing that's vintage 2018, something of that nature. Don't quote me on that, but it's a nice touch. Everything about this guitar really feels much more high-end. They list for about $19.99 or $2,000. If you have Sweetwater Plexi guitar, you can add another $200 to the guitar. I think that's worth it. A guitar that plays well and is working well is totally worth the extra money to get it to play right. And the guitar really has that kind of like Fender custom shop vibe about it. The abalone inlay, the neck, the paint, everything about this guitar, to me, says kind of high end. Now, having said that, a couple things. I did find some discrepancies with this guitar, but they're all cosmetic and things that would that I'm not too particularly worried about. For instance, the binding is cracked here and here, and there are 3 like pinpointed bubbles right here in the body, in the finish. And on the back side, you can't really tell, but right here on the edge, there's like a hairline area where there's no paint, because when they mask out paint, they miss some spots. And all right, if I was getting a custom shop guitar from Fender, I might be upset about that. I'm getting a factory line guitar that is nearly perfect. The nut was really well done. Everything works on this guitar. It sounds great. This guitar is super light for me. 7 pounds. This guitar resonates. The notes ring. Everything about this guitar is quality. So, whereas the other one, just like it had a different feel. It had, hey, this was a Friday guitar. I want to get off work, so I'm just going to rush through these guitars. I feel like this is kind of like a Wednesday guitar, a guitar that like a bunch of folks worked on Wednesday and they're hitting their stride. They've been at work. They're doing real well. It's not Monday when they're just coming off, oh, Monday, I got to put together guitars. This is a Wednesday guitar. No problems, no issues, going well. Assembly line is running smoothly. The other one I bought, totally a Friday guitar. Let's get this over with and go have a beer. Now, I love Fender guitars, as you can tell. I've owned lots of Fender guitars, and I've had some great luck with Fender guitars, and their quality has improved greatly since the 70s. But I got to tell you, that other Telecaster, there were some serious quality issues that I really didn't want to deal with in real life. So I got rid of the guitar and got this one. And I got to tell you, this is an awesome instrument. So let's go hear what the guitar sounds like. I've talked enough about the structure. I'm just going to play some different things. Let's play, let's see. I'm going to be in the neck pickup position, playing clean. Now for the middle position, which is the 2 pickups together, I like to play something that's kind of signature to that sound, and so I'm going to play some Steve Cropper, and one of my favorite Steve Cropper songs to play. I think that sounds great. I love that sound. I love that tone. Here's another song I think, and I'm going to turn the tone knob down a little bit to more match what I hear in my head is the right sound for this particular song. This is a Christian song I learned a while ago. Let me try that again. to me, it seems very reminiscent of like an old Gretsch or something like that. It's got that kind of nasally tone I like. For the bridge pickup, which Telecasters are generally known for, I'm going to play something more blues-oriented. So it's kind of got that spank to it. I play a little, kind of like some jazziness out of this. All right, so let's go into the dirty channel and hear what this sounds like with some dirt in it. Here's the bridge pickup. I find that I can get some really good Clapton sound out of this, believe it or not. So I'm going to go to the neck pickup, turn the tone knob down a bit. So, I don't know if some of you noticed, but I'm wearing a Band-Aid. My finger, this Band-Aid keeps getting stuck in the strings, which is very unfortunate. But that's okay. Not going to worry about it too much. Here's a little song, Outside One Blues. Now on the neck pickup. Really beautiful tones out of this guitar. Very impressed with it. On the whole, I can pretty much do anything I want with it, barring fingers with Band-Aids. Now, a couple of things. One, the guitar comes with this wonderful kind of a red line velvet case, or shag case. It's black, but it has no Fender logo on the exterior. It comes with this, comes with the cover, comes with a certificate of authenticity, which is kind of a nice touch. Didn't expect it, but it was cool to have. It comes with instructions how to take care of the guitar in this leatherette bag. What the guitar did not come with was a strap or cable. That was a little surprising, but you know, things are getting more expensive. Things are not getting cheaper. So Fender's got to find some way to keep the price down so they can sell guitars without seeming a bit unreasonable. So that's about it for the Fender American Original 60s Telecaster. If you have any questions or comments to add to this, please feel free. I'm always glad to answer questions to anyone who asks. And until next time, keep on playing. Thank you for watching.